Good morning. I'm Dr. Alan, Assistant Professor, Department of English, VIT Chennai. Today I'll be handling the course Technical English 1, Module number 10, Reading Comprehension. Reading is one of the most important LSRW skills. Voracious readers will gradually develop into better language learners. The regular habit of reading will also improve the writing skills of the students. If the students are interested in improving their vocabulary, they should have the regular habit of reading, and they also should refer to the dictionary to improve their vocabulary. One can attain more marks in reading comprehension by improving the habit of reading. The students can choose books, magazines, newspaper articles, biographies, autobiographies, self-help books, scientific articles, and research articles to improve their reading skills. Let us focus on how to improve reading comprehension skills. The first thing that has to come to the mind of the student is understanding the difference between the main idea in a passage and the subject of the passage. It is crucial to understand this difference because the subject of the passage deals with simple facts and information. But when it comes to the main idea of the passage, it tells you what the passage is about. If you explore the passage, you will reach the heart of the passage, which is otherwise known as the main idea or the central idea. Once you identify the main idea in the passage, it is easy to find the supportive ideas. A well written passage will have a subject, a main idea, supportive ideas, additional ideas, and relevant ideas. Writers express their main idea in a clear sentence known as the topic sentence. Often a topic sentence is found at the beginning of the paragraph. Sometimes it can also be found in the middle or even in the end of the paragraph. When it comes to reading comprehension, identifying the topic sentence will be a big challenge. If the topic sentence is not explicit, it is the responsibility of the students to identify it and write it down. Skillful students would quickly find the main idea in the passage without taking much time. If you are working on reading comprehension, begin with short passages. Here are some very important questions which you have to ask first. What is the passage about? You may ask these questions in the mind. What does the passage deal with? Who, what, when, where, how, and why? These questions try to answer it immediately. Identify the subject of the passage, and the topic sentence is the passage as the first step. Here is a pictorial representation of the ideas in a passage. Number 1, the bull's eye, the core, is the central idea, followed by yellow circle, which are the supportive ideas. Then follows the green circle or relevant ideas. Then the sky blue, additional ideas, and finally irrelevant ideas. If you remove the irrelevant ideas in a passage, still the passage will be very much meaningful. In that sense, as far as a passage is concerned, central idea or the main idea is very important and it is crucial. So students should be trained to identify to identify where the central idea is in a passage. Here are different types of passages. The first passage is creative passage. In a sense, it deals with creative writing. It deals with description and narration. Second is passages which deal with philosophical debates and discussion, critical passages. Third is scientific passage that deal with the definition, formula, theory, application and instruction related to science and technology. Fourth is newspaper articles, leads which have a journalistic style of writing. Now, let us discuss in detail about creative writing, passages that deal with narration and description. For the classroom study, I have used a very famous short story by H.G. Wells, The Magic Shop. Here is the very first paragraph. I'll read it aloud. I had seen the magic shop from afar several times. I had passed it once or twice, a shop window of alluring little objects, magic balls, magic hens, wonderful cones, ventriloquist dolls, the material of the basket trick, pack of cards that looked all right, and all that sort of thing, but never had I thought of going in until one day, almost without warning, Gip hauled me by my finger right up to the window and so conducted himself that there was nothing for it but to take him in. I had not thought the place was there. To tell the truth, a modest sized frontage in Regent Street between the picture shop and the place where the chicks run about, just out of patient incubators. But there it was sure enough. I had fancied it was down nearer the circus or round the corner in Oxford Street or even in Holborn. Always over the way and a little inaccessible it had been, with something of a mirage in its position. But here it was quite indisputably, and the fat end of Jip's pointing finger made a noise upon the glass. First paragraph of H.G. Wells' very famous story. Now, here are the questions for you. When you come across a passage from creative writing, you should be able to sense whether it is a descriptive passage and a narrative passage or a narrative passage. Check the first question for instance and try to answer it, whether it is a descriptive passage or a narrative passage. Narration deals with time sequence. Yesterday, last week, last month, today morning, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m., at sunrise, at sunset. If the passage deals with time, it is narrative. If it deals with features like shape, color, size, and number, it is descriptive. I'm sure you'll be able to answer the first question. Move on to the second, third, and fourth question, and the fifth question to complete the task. You will understand the basics. The first thing which is crucial is you should know whether it is a passage from creative writing or a passage from a critical source. That's the very first basic idea. After completing this, we can move on to the next critical passage taken for study. This I have taken it from American writer, philosopher Ayn Rand, from her famous book, The Virtue of Selfishness. This is the very beginning in the book. Read it carefully. Let me read it aloud. Is the concept of value, of good or evil, an arbitrary human invention, unrelated to, underived from, or unsupported by any facts of reality? Or is based on a metaphysical fact, on an unalterable condition of man's existence. I use the word metaphysical to mean that which pertains to reality, to the nature of things, to existence. Does an arbitrary human convention, a mere custom, decree that man must guide his actions by a set of principles, or is there a fact of reality that demands it? Is ethics the province of whims, of personal emotions, social edicts, and mystic revelations, or is it the province of reason? Is ethics a subjective luxury or an objective necessity? In the sorry record of the history of mankind's ethics, with a few rare and unsuccessful exceptions, moralists have regarded ethics as the province of whims, that is, of the irrational. Some of them did so explicitly by intention, others implicitly by default. A whim is a desire experienced by a person who does not know and does not care to discover its cause. No philosopher has given a rational, objectively demonstrable, scientific answer to the question of why man needs a code of values. So long as that question remained unanswered, no rational, scientific, objective code of ethics could be discovered or defined. The greatest of all philosophers, Aristotle, did not regard ethics as an exact science. He based his ethical system on observations of what the noble and wise men of his time chose to do, leaving unanswered the questions of why they chose to do it and why he evaluated them as noble and wise. Now, if you compare the first passage and the second passage, you will know for sure that this is not from a creative work. It sounds philosophical and it is critical in nature. Now, try to answer these 5 questions. Does the author ask philosophical questions to the reader? What is the meaning of the word metaphysical in the passage? How do moralists consider ethics according to the author? Identify the name of the philosopher in the passage. Identify the tone in the passage. After finishing this, we will move on to the next passage for analysis. A newspaper article, it's a very recent one, taken from the Hindu. Uh, the, the, the article says COVID-19 tests in India cross 1 crore mark. Let me read it. An ICMR official said that a cumulative total of 1 crore and 4,101 samples have been tested till 11 am on Monday, with 1,80,596 cases being tested on July 5th. COVID-19 tests in India crossed the 1 crore mark on Monday, with 1 crore and 1,35,525 cumulative samples tested so far. The Indian Council of Medical Research said on Monday, in the past 24 hours, about 3,46,459 samples were tested. The Council has now recommended that all labs, hospitals initiating testing through rapid antigen test should ensure that symptomatic patients who have tested negative in the rapid testing should be referred for real-time RT-PCR testing also. The Council has also written to all states directing all private labs undertaking TrueNat CBNat based testing for COVID-19 to apply for NABL accreditation to ensure quality testing. The Hindu. Now, this is an article taken from a newspaper. It's neither creative nor critical. It's more like a report. Try to identify the subject and the main idea in the given passage. For example, the subject of the article is very easy. It deals with COVID-19, very general. Try to work on the main idea. Try to answer the question, what is the passage about. There's some specific questions like who, how, and what. Very easy for you. So this is known as a lead writing style, where in a newspaper article you can answer these questions very easily. The fifth question will be slightly challenging. The council has not directed all private labs across the country to undertake the TrueNat to apply for NABL accreditation to ensure quality or testing. State whether it's true or false. Because deliberately I've chosen three different passages and different types of questions so that it will help you to understand how to answer these questions. Now, here are the strategies for improving your reading comprehension. The first strategy is skimming, where you should be very fast. As far as the competitive exam is concerned, it's all about time. So, you need to be very, very fast, improving the art of skimming. Decoding, you should be able to understand the language written. So, you should be able to decode the vocabulary, the sense, okay. Reasoning, you should be able to understand it, what the passage deals with, and think questions in your mind. Learn to summarize. For example, if you try to answer the first question, what is the article about, you try to bring it to a point and you write your own topic sentence. That's not an art of summarizing. Sequencing, try to understand from where this particular idea was taken, probably whether it was in the beginning, middle, or end. If it is a short story, where does it come? If it is a critical essay, where does this idea is sequenced? Deducing and inference, based on, after reading the passage, what do you assume, what do you infer, what would you like to say based on this. For example, the COVID-19 cases, where more than 1 crore cases were reported, what would you like to infer out of it? You may infer that the cases are on the rise. That is the inference. Some passage you have to compare and contrast through the data. So you use both these skills. Self questioning, what is the passage about? You think it, okay, you think about it, okay. What does it deal with? Does it deal with a problem, a cause and effect case? Try to solve the problem, finding the main ideas and important ideas which we already discussed, and finally drawing conclusions. Okay, here are some interesting tips for you. A recap. Remember, when you're working on reading comprehension, time is crucial, time is precious. So skim through the passage to frame the subject and the passage as fast as possible. Write it in your notebook. Now, what does the passage deal with? If you write it, if you identify the main idea and write it in a sentence, it is known as a topic sentence. But when it comes to research, it is known as the thesis. So quickly write the thesis and also the negative of the main idea, which is the antithesis. In a sense, it will help you to do your questions. As far as the questions are concerned, it will help you to work on the questions very easily. So find out the main idea, write it as a thesis statement, then also write the antithesis for it. Check whether the passage has a positive or a negative tone. This is again very, very important. What does the author say? Is he very positive about it, a rosy picture, or he is very, very negative about it? So find that, keep it ready. Concentrate on numbers, names, and facts. Now read the questions first, then read the introduction. Don't spend a lot of time reading the introduction. Okay, time is crucial. So first read the questions, then you may go to the passage introduction. Guess the meaning of tough words. You may not understand all the words. For example, if it is a GRE reading comprehension, words will be very difficult. On an average, you find a sentence with 25 words, out of which 10 words you may not understand. So try to guess the meaning of the word, and you have to speed up the process. Look for contextual clues, like contextual clues from one sentence to another sentence. Okay, then since the questions will not be direct, so learn to comprehend the questions in the question and answer session. questions will not be direct. For example, if you analyze the COVID 19 passage, the last question was not direct, it was indirect. It reversed the meaning, then it asked whether it is true or false. That's why I said, like, the positive or the negative is very, very important. Okay, right. Um, Here are the references. The first passage was taken from The Magic Shop by H.G. Wells. Second, from The Virtue of Selfishness, written by Ayn Rand. And the third is a newspaper article. It was accessed on July 7th. Hope you found the class to be very interesting. Thank you so much.